We have a lot of people who've moved to South Florida. It's been well documented. People coming from New York, coming from California, chasing the dream, chasing the lifestyle. A lot of times, some of the things you overlook when you come down here, that you're going to be able to do stuff the same way you did it back home when you get down here in South Florida. One thing people point to all the time is, the food. New Yorkers like to say, well, the water's not the same in Miami or in South Florida, therefore the bagels aren't the same. The pizza doesn't taste the same. Well, this is a story that's going to be about contractors. These are the people who go in there and they do the work that you want them to do. When you buy your dream property, you're going to make it into every single thing you want. Well, here's a tale, Mr. Fakler. I want you to give us some perspective about headline. And by the way, it's coming from the Miami Herald. Headline: Fort Lauderdale contractors and victims have been left with pool-sized holes, cops say. First couple graphs: a contractor against whom a condominium association president had a year-long restraining order is accused of leaving a trail of fraud victims and under construction work around Broward County. Police think the trail could be longer. Fort Lauderdale's Richard Stubblefield, 56, was arrested Wednesday at his probation officer's office. Stubblefield faces charges of grand theft between $5,000 to $10,000, grand theft between $10,000 to $20,000, grand theft between $20,000 and $100,000, obtaining property under $20,000 by fraud, and obtaining property over $20,000 by. His bond on those charges add up to $82,500, but the no bond on the violation of probation charges adds up to him still being in Broward County Jail as of Sunday morning. Wilton Manors police say Stubblefield, through his company, All Pro Pools and Pavers, took folks' money for projects he never completed or didn't even start by applying for the permits. Mr. Fakler, is this an anomaly where a contractor during a go-go period where everybody's coming down here burning cash, trying to make their castle into a castle, and then ultimately skipping town? We've heard about it during hurricane times when you have a lot of contractors that send out an area because everybody's trying to get their life back together. But what about during a luxury type of run-up where, it's the go-go days, everybody's making money? Is this an anomaly, or is this something that happens, or you've seen happen since you've been here those 40 plus years when you came down from New York and you moved to South Florida? What say you, Mr. Fakler?
I would not call it an anomaly. I mean, this is classic South Florida contractor heaven. Come down here, scam people. But you are right. I mean, this is really, you saw more of this during the hurricane season. So this is, as far as during the run up here, during the luxury period, perhaps it is an anomaly, but I mean, this guy was, he was off his rocker. This guy, he actually got arrested at his probation offices because he was on probation for a year. And the reason he was on probation, and don't forget this restraining order that you mentioned, that was against filed by the condo president. The condo president, apparently this guy was hanging around with his friends. His old office used to be in his condo building. So they were drinking, they were hanging out. The guy pulled a gun, started flashing it. And it's a handgun, and it's in front of like 10 people and a king order. All hell breaks loose. The guy goes to jail. And, in the meantime, this guy had a dozen contracts, at least a dozen. They're still looking at other contracts that were unfulfilled. Half of them, he didn't even pull a permit, and he was getting paid. So he's escaped with everybody's money. He absconded with everybody's cash. Didn't do the work. People got holes in their backyards where the pool's supposed to go. And, this is, it's a story that doesn't surprise me because, like you mentioned, we saw these kind of stories during the hurricane seasons, when there were construction issues and problems and all kinds of scammers, contractors scamming everybody. But to see this now, in a way, it is an anomaly. I haven't really heard a story like this, in recent times.
Interesting. And for anybody out there, if you are getting work done and you work with a contractor who's licensed in the state of Florida, you should check with your attorney. But generally speaking, a contractor has the ability to cloud your title. So if you don't pay that contractor, they have the ability to jam you up. So if you were to try to sell the property, if they got a loan against it, and check with your attorney or check with your banker, they can basically put a cloud on that particular title. So I just thought that was an interesting story to sort of